my screen now? Yes, yeah, I've got some nods. Okay, awesome, great. So welcome everyone to tonight's Secret of Behavioural Change. And let me start with introducing myself again. So my name is, I need to start admitting people. My name is Suki Xiao, and I am a certified coach with the International Coach Federation. And I own my own business, which is called su.org, which is focusing on helping people to find their purpose, gain self-confidence and self-love. And I used to be an Agile coach in Xero. That I was there for 3 years actually in Xero as an Agile coach and also as an Agile team facilitator, helping teams and leaders to perform better. And quite a few years ago, I was a youth line counselor and trainer there, training counselors to be on the phone line, helping people to understand their emotions. And I also identify myself as a meditator. I exercise quite a bit, and I'm a family person. So this is just a little bit about myself before we get started. Great. And what's got me interested in this topic of secret of behavioral change is that I observe myself quite a bit through my own personal change, thinking about the changes that are easier to make and the changes that I find it really difficult to make in my life. And also by seeing and coaching others and seeing how people are stuck and when is the point that they have become unstuck has got me very interested in sharing this secret that I've found with you all. And what I'm going to talk about is actually backed up by books and also the science of coaching. What I mean by the science of coaching is that people often think coaching is about behavioral change. Yes, to a certain extent, it is about that, but there is more to coaching than a person's behavior. And you'll see why through this talk that I'm going to talk to you about. And I thought this topic would be quite a timely topic at this point in life because we are going through disruption, going through changes in our life at the moment that we have not predicted. And all that can bring up a lot of emotions, can bring up a lot of things that we want to do for ourselves. So I thought if you can have the secret to behavioral change, then you can better deal with the situation at the moment too. And what I'm also going to talk about is it's going to apply at an individual level as well as a team and organization level. And what I find as a coach is that the more that we can understand about change in our individual level, then the better we are going to be able to affect change in the team and organizational level. Because teams and organizations are made up of people, and if people cannot make the behavioral change that you want, then it's really difficult to do the job that you want to do as an agile person. And what I would like to say is that as I talk through my story and my talk, I would like you to invite your brave and honest self that you have in your life as well as you reflect upon what is happening for you. As a coach, I say this a lot to the coaches that I coach, because the more honest that we are with what's going on with ourselves and the willingness to look into what's happening, then the better we are going to come out the other end, being the person that we want to be. So now what I want you to do is a little bit of a self-reflection, just 30 seconds or so. Bring in mind a goal that you are working towards or a habit that you have been working towards. Think about how is it going so far? What are some difficulties that you might be facing at the moment with that goal or that habit that you want to change? And once you've got that in mind, I would like you to imagine that with the same goal and the same habit that you want to change, that you are able to find the motivation to go towards that goal. You're able to have the efforts, put in that consistent efforts that you need to achieve that goal. And also you're getting the results that you desire. Like how great would that be if we are able to set goals and we're able to have that motivation, efforts, and all the results that we want. And I think that's when everyone would be setting goals, would be becoming the better versions of themselves. And often we find that it's not the case. Often we think that the key to behavioral change, and this is a misconception, that the key to behavioral change is that, oh, I just got to put in that effort. The more effort that I put into this, like just focus on that behavior, push myself really, really hard to go to the gym or to meditate every day, then I will be this person that is like skinnier, or I will be this person that is calmer. We often think the behavioral change is about behavior. But what is actually happening, or what is actually required, is that in order for behavioral change to happen well, we actually need to update our identity of ourselves. And what I mean by identity is that your self-image of who you are as a person, who you want to be as a person, and your self-image or your self-perception of you is based on the belief systems, the worldviews, and the values that you have. So when I talk about an update of identity that you have for yourself, it is an update of that self-image that you have for yourself. So a few examples of the identities that I have got, and I've already talked about this a bit in the introduction page of this talk, is that I'm a person that I identify myself as a family person, as a dutiful Chinese daughter. I do a lot of behaviors that are aligned to that. And I'm a person that have quite high standards about the things that I put out. And I am a courageous person that I choose to always take the braver option over a safer option. And I'm a healthy person. Like I said, I exercise quite a bit and I eat well, and I'm a meditator that I meditate every day. So all of us have a few identities that are going on all at the same time. And often we are not aware that we actually have some of these identities, and we're not aware of the impact of those identities into our behavior change. So what the research shows is that when we believe a certain aspect of our identity, our behaviors actually align to that identity. So if we're able to update that identity that we have for ourselves, then the behavior change will be easier. It will come about in more of a flowing way. So an example would be if we put on the hat of ourselves as a voter, that we identify ourselves as someone that votes in the general election, then we're more likely to cast a vote. Or if we put on the hat of ourselves of a non-smoker, then we're more likely to not smoke. Whereas a lot of people that smoke, the hat that they're still wearing at the moment would be a smoker, and it's a smoker that's trying to restrict themselves from smoking, versus someone that has updated their identity to say, I'm no longer a smoker, therefore the smoking behavior is not in alignment. So from here, I would like to tell you a story of how I have discovered this accidentally, or to put it on a more PC way, it would be how I got enlightened, duh, and then come up with this insight without books telling me this insight. So once upon a time, the identity that I have for myself is actually one of achievement. And the behavior that was in alignment of that achievement identity that I had for myself was having a very harsh self-critic. Achievement was my way of being since I was really little, that I would like go for the gold stars. I would achieve like first in the podium, or achieve like high scores in my high schools and university as well. And my harsh self-critic was that trusted friend or advisor on the side telling me what to do all the time, and I should be this or I should be that, so that I can achieve. And what that harsh self-critic looked like, and I think a lot of us have this, a lot of my coaches that I coach have this as well. It's always saying like, oh, you should have done this, you shouldn't have done that, you could have done this better, or you're not good enough yet, or you're never good enough for what you're trying to do, and you don't deserve any rest, so that you should keep going. And the reason for all this harsh self-critic was, like I said, is to get that achievement going, because I thought that was the only way to get achievement done. And how I came about with this old pattern of behavior of achievement as well as harsh self-critic was actually from my childhood, that my mum was very absent during my growing up years. She was a businesswoman, so she was hardly home. She was hardly there to guide me through my very young years. So I thought in my child brain at the time that if I achieve a lot, I get this award or that award in school, then I'll get the love and attention from the person that I really want love and attention from. So for so many years of my life, this was last year, so from when I was a child to when I was 29 years old, all I wanted in my life was that love from my mother. So what I did in my child brain, even though I was 29 years old last year, was that I kept on climbing and climbing, kept on achieving. All I had was a lot of awards. I had the money and the jobs that I was having. I had the recognition for what I was doing. But in the core of myself, I was actually feeling very empty and tired through all this beating myself up nonstop. Until one day, that achievement was not available anymore, or I literally cannot do that achievement anymore. What happened was that the hospital came with the news that my grandmother was dying of cancer last year. So at the time, all I wanted to do in my head and in my soul was to be with my grandmother, because my grandmother is like my mom. She was the person that spent the most time with me when I was little and provided that love and attention. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this achievement anymore. I actually need to just to be with my grandmother that's dying. So what I changed at the time was I actually quit the job that was at Xero as an agile coach. And what I find from quitting that job, all of a sudden, this change has really dropped my mood. And the reason for that mood going sharply down was because the value of myself, I based it on achievement. And when the work was not there, which was fulfilling a lot of that achievement, is that I don't have value for myself anymore all of a sudden. What I had was an identity crisis that was coming across. So the identity of myself went from what I do based on achievement. I knew that I needed to change my identity to more of an intrinsic one based on who I am as a person rather than what I do as a person. And I went on this journey of rebuilding my identity to this more intrinsic person that value the person for who they are. And then my brain was like, but who is this person? Like, I've never been this person that value myself for who I am. I always value myself for what I did rather than who I am as a person. And what does that mean anyway? So what I started asking myself is this question: what would a person who intrinsically value themselves do? And the answer that I came across was someone that would love themselves, that would take care of themselves, and actually not beat themselves up with all these harsh self-critic talks that are going on. And when I arrived at that answer, my brain went, okay, but does this actually work? Like, is this person for real? Someone that loves themselves, take care of themselves, not beat themselves up. Can this really get to who I want to be as a person or the results that I want to be? So this is actually another trick that the brain plays upon us when we're trying to change, is that all we've known in our life is one set of evidence. And that set of evidence has proven that the harsh self-critic has worked, has got to the results that I want. So when I'm required to change to another way of being, I actually have no evidence on the other side of whether that does it work or not work. So I'm actually quite scared to buy into this whole story. So because the logic that I had at the time was that or this is my belief system that I had at the time, was that the only way to love was through achievement. And the only way to achievement was through having a harsh self-critic. There was no other belief system that I had in terms of this at that time. And then I thought to myself, like, what if my belief is really, really wrong? Like, what if my logic is actually not right? That would be like world shattering. That would be like, I don't even know what I know anymore. So instead of asking my brain, oh, does this work? Or maybe I should put effort to it, or maybe I should not. I just said to myself, well, let's just prove it to myself. Behave in such a different way that I am able to have an evidence that I've never gotten before. So what I started was with a daily habit that I built, which was, what is one kind thing that I can do or say to myself today? Just one kind thing that I can do or say to myself today. So this is directly opposite to that harsh self-critic talk. And what I found over time, just doing that little behavior every single day of doing something kind for myself, that my harsh self-critic has shrunk, and then my kind self-talk has grown over time. Not only have I found that my behavior has changed at a behavior level, what I found is also some new evidence that I've never come across before. So the new evidence that I found with the kind self-talk is that I'm still getting the results that I've been getting before. It's the same, like I haven't actually missed anything in terms of results. And instead of feeling always exhausted because I was pushing myself so hard, my head was full of that harsh self-critic of, you shouldn't have done this, or you should do this, and you should blah. All my head actually became clearer, and I had more time and energy to focus on the things that are actually important. And instead of feeling empty because I had to get more awards, and even with those awards, my mom was not recognizing it, instead of feeling empty and tired inside, what I found was that my mom was loving me in another way that I've never seen before, or I wasn't willing to see before. And I could actually give the love to myself as well, to heal that part of my inner child. So with this new evidence, I was like, oh my gosh, the logic, the belief that I had at the time was false. It is not the only way to love was through achievement, and not the only way to achievement was through a harsh self-critic. So nowadays, the identity that I have, it's more of a kind person, a person that intrinsically value themselves, and the behavior that's in alignment to that identity, it's more of a kind self-talk. So next time when you come across a behavior that you really want to change, or you find it difficult to change, I would really like you to update that identity for yourself, and then put in the consistent effort towards building that behavior, building that new habit. So with the updated identity change, you will be able to get the motivation that you need, put in the efforts, and get the results that you want. And what I've got next up is actually for you to reflect back on that goal, that habit that you wanted to change at the start of this talk that I alluded you to. So bring your mind back to that goal, that habit that you want to change for yourself and you're finding it difficult. First of all, let's update the identity that you have for yourself. And the question to ask here is actually, who is the type of person that upholds this behavior that you want to be able to have in your life? So for example, if you want to be a person that loses weight, for example, then gotta ask, like, who is the type of person that is able to lose weight? They probably are pretty disciplined with what they eat, pretty disciplined with their exercise regime, and someone that's really into health. And then once you're able to know who is the type of person that upholds that behavior, then is to ask, is this the type of person that you want to be yourself? Because there are so many pressures that are out there about who we should be this, or we should be that. And sometimes, you know, it's just best if we don't give that pressure on ourselves and just be the type of person that we want to be. Like, I know that I'm not going to be someone that is like super skinny because I love food and and my love for food is going to be very difficult for me to achieve that identity of someone that is like really skinny and athletic body. Like there's no way. So I don't put that as a deliberate thing that I'm working on. And once you have decided who you want to be, then it's to go to the behavioral level, which is, are you ready to prove it to yourself that it actually works to be this new person and find new evidence that proves that it is working? And in order to do that, you need to be able to put in that consistent and small behavioral change every single day. And this does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of self-discipline, and there is no easier way around this. The easy way around it is to have that identity change first. So what I would like to leave you with near the end of this talk is that this is a quote by James Clear, and a lot of what I talked about is actually from his book, is that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Think about that a little bit more. Every action that you take is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become. So if you wish to become someone that meditates, then when you come across an action of like meditate or not meditate, then think about what vote are you casting for yourself, for your identity. And if you feel quite inspired by what I've talked about, then the book to go to, this is absolutely my favorite habits book, and I've read quite a few of habits book, is this book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. And I'm actually doing a live review of that book coming up, not this weekend, the weekend after, on my YouTube. So you can check in there. It's live 11 a.m. New Zealand time every Saturday. And what I'm doing on YouTube live is creating a community of people that are more conscious and purpose driven. So I'll be interviewing people in the community that are purpose driven. And then every other week I will be reviewing a book that I think is helpful for self-development. And you can check my website for more details as well. And if you want to know what else I do, this is the main thing that I do as a personal coach, is that I run a purpose program, which is a 10-week professional and personal development program that's starting in early May, which consists of 10 weeks of group sessions and 3 one-hour personal coaching with me, and where we'll find your life direction, purpose, clarity, all the good stuff of self-confidence, self-love, and self-awareness. Yeah, so this is the end of my talk, and then welcome any questions that you have.
Thank you, Suki. Thank you so much. So we do have a couple questions. So do you have any thoughts on applying this to driving behavioral change in organizations?
Yes, I do.
And would the brand be the identity that employees buy into?
Would then be the that is a hard one. Like behavior, why I say it's a hard one is because the identity of an organization is made up of the employees that are in the organization, but also change comes from both direction, whether that is a top-down change or bottom-up change. And as a coach, I've seen a lot of bottom-up change that has failed or have not succeeded because the top-down has not bought into the change that the bottom-up wants. So what I would recommend there would be getting the top, like the chief executive level, the general manager level, and the senior managers level, really bought into buying into this new identity that they want to be, and getting consultation from people on the floor about whether they are buying into this identity. That's what I would recommend.
Great. Are there any other questions for Suki? We had a miss the name of the book, but it sounds like it's Atomic Habits, The Life-Changing Million.
Yes, yes. Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Wonderful. Any more questions for Suki? Just watching. A lot of thanks. A lot of people say thank you. So yeah, this was great. Really appreciate the participation, and thank you everyone for coming. I know Suki we have your email address, I believe, or we can reach you through Meetup. What's the best way to contact you if they have any questions?
If they have any question, it's hello@su.org, which you can
Nice.
find on my website as well. Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit more about your program? That came up from Edwin. Thank you, Edwin.
The program. Oh, okay, sure. So this program actually has born out of my work. Well, the idea has come out of me being a coach in an organization and seeing how a lot of employees are not finding fulfillment in what they do in their life, even though it is like a good job, building good software, they're still finding the purpose is lacking in their life. So I thought, wow, I actually want to do something about this. So the program has elements of defining the values that you really hold dear in your life, and then how do you live out those values, and what are the strengths that will help you to live out those values. And once you've got a vision for yourself, then we talk about how do we transition into that vision? What are the habits that are necessary for you to continue on that purposeful journey? And that's why there are lots of elements of like, how do we maintain focus? How do we gain our self-confidence? What is that anyway? And what does self-love mean, and self-awareness and sustainability and resilience? So it's a very comprehensive program for someone that wants to find their life direction and having a plan to go there, as well as all the tools and habits that they need to build in themselves. And the reason why they have gone with a 10-week session rather than a 4-week session, a 4-week program, is that I know habits take time to build, and it takes, the sciences show it takes at least 2 months or 3 months to build a habit. It's not 21 days. That's actually a myth. So for me as a coach to sell a program that's only like 2 days worth of work, I know it's not going to work. So I would rather not sell. So yeah, and included in that program is 3 one-on-one personal coaching time with me. And those personal coaching time is really critical to change, because that will be the time when we dig down into like, what are some beliefs that are holding you back? What are some beliefs that you need to update in yourself in order to become the person that you want to be? So a lot of coaches in those personal coaching sessions, they actually find it really uncomfortable, because when we face up to the demons that we have in ourselves, are parts that we don't even like to admit, like the fact that it's not comfortable for me to admit that I love achieving, and the reason why I love it is because I want to love and attention from my mother. Like, it's actually really difficult to own up to that part of our story. Yeah, so in those personal coaching sessions, we'll work on that so that you're able to come out of that roadblock.
Great, thanks. And one more, we have another question that came to me privately. So
what experience did you have?
What experience did you have that created doubt for you in your process?
Doubt for me in my process. What kind of doubt? Which doubt did they mean?
That's from Morgan. So Morgan, what did you mean?
Yeah, can you please elaborate? What do you mean?
And Morgan, feel free to unmute.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sure. Sorry, the question wasn't very clear because I was frantically trying to put it in place. So the question is, at some point you were exploring, right? This was an experiment for yourself as you went through this process. And there must have been things that you experienced that put doubt in your mind that your experiment was actually working for yourself. And I was kind of curious to know that, what were they? Because then if other people went through this process and they experienced them, they could say, this is almost normal that these sort of things would come along that might put doubt in your mind about what you're doing is actually going to get the result that you want. So I was curious to see what things put doubt in your mind, but you pushed through them.
That is a really, really good question. And there are layers to that question as well. Because I did talk about, I'll just go back to the slide that talked about that doubt thing. So there is always that, this is very, very common, a doubt to have at the start of a behavioral change. And now that I know that I have that doubt for any new behavioral change that I want, then that doubt I do away with quite quickly. So like I said, if someone wants to have, if I like a behavior that I'm working on at the moment is reading before bed. And the doubt that I had in my mind before I started this new behavioral change in myself was that, oh, would I actually like reading before bed? Would I get enjoyment out of it? So my mind goes into this like argument all the time. And then now that I know that my mind goes into this argument with itself, I just go like, nah, let's just try this new behavior to find some new evidence. And then the second level of doubt, it comes a few days or during the first few weeks of a new behavior. Because when we're having a new behavior, our system is kind of like an immune system that we have. We identify the virus that's attacking the immune system, and we think the new behavior is actually a virus that is attacking our immune system. Therefore, all our body, all our mind is saying to ourselves, let's go back to that old behavior, like that old behavior is giving us what we need instead of the new behavior. And we haven't done enough of that new behavior to get the reward that we really want. Therefore, we quit that new behavior. So that happens a lot, so much. So now what I tell myself when the second wave of doubt comes in, I go like, no, this is really who I want to be. This is really who I want to be. And I just need to get through this roadblock. It might take 2 months, but this is a change I've been thinking about for myself for a long time, and I want to make it. And like what James Clear would say in his book, when it comes to this type of doubt that's coming in, is to make the reward of that habit sooner than what we experience ourselves. So the reward of myself, like maybe being kinder to myself, or to read books at nighttime, that's better habit for myself. That reward might only come 2 months into doing that habit. And what James Clear is saying is to bring the reward forward so that you have some other form of reward that is actually incentivizing you to do this new habit that you have. For myself, I don't really use that because I find like that it's just tricking my brain, and I don't and I would rather just know that this is the tough work that I need to put in. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Morgan?
Yeah, that was a fabulous answer to exactly the question that I was asking. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. I'm glad. It's a behavioral change is so hard. Like, oh, I'm a coach, and I just like each time I change a behavior, that's why I only focus on one behavior change at any single point, and only a behavior change that I really, really want to happen in my life. Otherwise, I just wouldn't. It's just too hard. Yeah, and having someone to help really helps as well.
Can I ask a supplementary question just on that comment that you made there? So having someone to help. So do you think that it's important in a situation, using terminology that we've suddenly become used to, having people in your bubble know that you're trying to go through this behavioral change, being open and honest about that, and their support is actually a key factor in success?
Yeah, I think like that would really depend on how motivated, how is the person motivated? What are they motivated by? So a lot of people, for example, an example could be a father that's trying to quit smoking, and the reason that they're trying to quit smoking is because of their children. And in that case, their children's support would be like immense. Without their support, it would be very, very difficult to change, because that is tied up to his identity as a father, as a loving father, a caring father. So, and that is in contrast to someone who is more intrinsically or internally motivated by themselves. And I'm that type of person that I go towards behavioral change, and that I hold myself very accountable to that change. So I don't necessarily need someone else. But what I found is that I've got a coach myself as well that I see every month, who is my supervisor. And at first I thought, I'm someone that already pushes myself quite hard and hold myself accountable anyway, so I don't need a coach. But what I found in that process is that every time that I have to face up to this coach every month, I have become more self-aware. I have become more honest with exactly what's going on, because I know that if I'm not honest with what's going on, that coach is going to tell me the bull crap that I've been saying. So yeah.
So in a way, the coach that you meet with is your extrinsic motivator.
Extrinsic, that could be. I'm not motivated by her to be honest. I think I am more like I'm motivated by myself to be honest, and she's the one that's holding that mirror. How does that make sense? Like,
Perfectly.
yeah, like I find that because through this process, I am developing a habit to be more and more honest with myself. And I find this through my meditation as well. Sometimes I'm in meditation, I would be like, oh yeah, I should be like this, I should be calm. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not even being true to who I am. If I'm feeling tired, I'm just feeling tired. If I'm feeling frustrated, I'm just feeling frustrated. It's better that I feel those than saying, no, I shouldn't be like this. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right. Good questions. Keep them coming. we have time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we do have time. So I'm just wondering the chat, and it doesn't look like there's any more questions. Does anyone have any last questions for Suki? 1 second here. Okay, it looks like we are all clear. So again, thank you, Suki, so much. It was amazing. I know we all learned a lot. We are recording this session, so we'll put it on our YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out.
Oh, you've got a YouTube channel too. We should be friends on it.
We should. All right, we'll make that happen. So as soon as I post it, we'll put it up there.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. And do tune into my YouTube live sessions every Saturday. Yeah, I'm really excited to interview people that I really admire.
Okay, great. And sorry, we have a question from in my room here. Hang on 1 second. Joe wants to know if you did the drawings yourself.
Yes, I did. That was a behavioral change that I did not deliberately make. It was more of an experiment. At the end of last year, I was like, I want to be someone that just draws for their slides. So that I did. And it was fun, and I continue. Yeah,
and they looked amazing. So thank you for that. Good question.
No worries.
Okay, Agile Aucklanders. This was a great meetup, and do appreciate your patience with technology and, as always, participating in our new virtual world. Our next meetup will be May 13th. We have the team from Vision 8 coming to talk about from mindset to practices. That's with Pete Tashkoff and Pallavi Nilapudi. And we will have a second meetup in May as well. But just stay tuned to Meetup and all of our other social media channels. You know where to find us. But appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had enjoyed the last week of lockdown.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Catch up.
I'll call you, Suki. Thank you.
Oh, sounds good. Great.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Suki.